Hi guys, Loon here, and welcome back to Total Warhammer. I am massively excited for this game. This is obviously the E3 showcase that we have seen already, but I wanted to sort of talk through some of the elements that we've seen here and the kind of things that make me really excited for this game. First of all, as I've said before, I am not a Warhammer player. I am a 40,000 player. I'm a 40k player, but the thing is, in a way it doesn't really matter. I don't know the lore inside out in the way that I do with 40k with Warhammer, but what I do know is that the universes are somewhat similar. There are crossovers for sure. Today in this video we're going to see a battle between the Empire here. You can see these red and white troops here, the Empire with their Imperial Forces against the brutal, vicious, savage Orcs. You can see coming over here, Orcs and Goblins together. One of the most awesome things that I've seen so far with this game, and this is only pre-alpha footage, is the animations, these real custom animations for all of the characters. It brings everything to life a lot more and really pulls you into the game. These are the Imperial Forces, and you can see them firing off cannons and things. It was noted that when they were showcasing this, it was very much a sort of scripted battle to showcase elements, and they said that a lot of these things you kind of will unlock later in the game. However, one thing to remember always with multiplayer is that you can pretty much have everything unlocked. So when you play a multiplayer game, you can decide what units to include. Multiplayer is really the thing that I love with Total War. The actual sort of campaign element, it is good, it's really good, but that's not the thing that I enjoy the most. The thing that I do enjoy the most is the strategy, building your units, building your army, working out how you're going to play them, and really sort of, you know, having those battles outsmarting your opponent. So the leader we saw at the beginning is Karl Franz. He is a Mighty Lord character, and he is riding that Death Claw. That is an Imperial Griffin. There are a lot of real fantasy mounts and characters and elements within the game, obviously. The gigantic spider that you can see here is an Arachnarok. These are basically, obviously, gigantic spiders. The goblins worship them as a living god, and sometimes they can tempt them out into battle. You can see also the smaller spider units. You also have here Grimgor Ironhide. He is the sort of orc commander. You also have orc shamans around here. You can see here we have some giants. There are also trolls and all sorts of different things. So there's a wide variety of units there. Up on the hill here, these are really, really interesting. These are basically Doom Diver catapults, and this is where the guy gets on board. They catapult him into battle. He's kind of like a kamikaze pilot essentially, and once these things fire, you can obviously choose a marked target. We don't have any UI up because this is like a showcase video, but as he flies through the air, you can actually take control of these and manually guide them to their target. It's obviously a little tricky, but I think with some practice you could get pretty good with it, and that could be a really awesome way of taking out specific units. And the Empire guys there taking a bit of a battering from as that guy lands in on them. So as we cross the battlefield here, you can see that there's much more sort of fantasy elements with all the magma lava pouring in and around. That makes it so much more sort of enveloping. It creates this beautiful atmosphere, real fantasy atmosphere that we haven't been able to see with Total War games before. That character we were just moving past there was another Shaman. Now as these guys ride in, the beautiful speed, the nimbleness with which they approach their targets, but as they actually crash into the line, you'll see that they don't have a lot of weight there. There's a lot of great animation so far, but one thing that is being worked on, and this has been noted by Creative Assembly that they're working on, is the sort of weight and punchiness with which they actually, you know, run into a line. You can imagine that if you have mounted units like this charging straight at infantry, even with bracing, that's going to punch a pretty hard hole straight into them. You're going to knock some guys back. So that's something that they are working on. Okay, so here we have some obviously ranged units. This is ranged cavalry. We've also got some knights, and then we also have there's outrider pistoliers, imperial knights, and we've got the demigryph knights. Okay, demigryphs are these legendary beasts. They're supposed to be quite rare in the world of Warhammer, and the idea is that obtaining a demigryph is a fantastic, like the ultimate goal of the Imperial Knights. So to gain a demigryph, it's kind of like Avatar where they have to get those dragons, you know, and the demigryphs, you have to go out into the, you know, the forest, find them, tame them, and then if you can finally get a demogryph, it's a massive honour. You can see a Shaman here casting a bad moon spell. This is something that is really interesting between 40k and the standard Warhammer, is that the Orc stuff and some other things here and there, kind of like Chaos for example, kind of cross over between the universes. So you have like Warhammer, which is this very kind of fantasy sort of Tolkien-esque Lord of the Rings deal, but they've really... Okay, here goes the demogryphs. Demogryphs are horrific sort of... They're like half lion, half eagle sort of creations, so they are brutal. They're supposed to rip their enemies apart. They can battle for hours and hours without getting tired. But again here, see how they sort of run into the line. Also, it's noted within sort of Warhammer that the knights could, when they're riding those demogryphs, would actually carry halberds rather than lancers, and that's a halberd is like a kind of axe slash spear, so it would be cool to see those kind of come in there, because from what I was sort of reading up about, that's what they can often carry. Okay, now we see a massive Orc Charge. I love this. Look at these guys. They're like, look out the sort of differentiation, the momentum, the way they're running in, and then this is fantastic. As they approach the line, check it out. They're like leaping into battle. The animations that they have built in so far are way ahead of what I've seen previously in Total War, and it's really, really exciting to see this. So this is, I mean, it's so cinematic. This is a scripted battle, but it's a fantastic way of showcasing sort of where they have gotten to at this point. Okay, here come the trolls, and as you see, they sort of jump into the line, beating their clubs on the ground. They're dropping like an AoE effect right there. They're also spitting out and vomiting like acid bile all over these guys. These Imperial guys obviously having a pretty rough time, but they're still battling. I have to say, if it was me personally and I saw that gigantic spider approaching, I'd be like, yeah, see you later guys, I'm right out of here. So as we see the battle progressing now, there's sort of engagements happening all over the place. The worrying spider approaching. And you can see they even have aerial combat here. There's two commanders battling it out in the skies, whilst the minions on the ground, not those minions, just standard kind of pawns, would be a better word than minions nowadays. The pawns kind of getting brutally wrecked on the ground here. Trolls and orcs sort of smashing through the lines. It's fantastic to see when they swing clubs and stuff. It will actually knock them straight out of the air. This is exciting as well. Notice how the air units can actually bring down other air units to the ground. Doesn't mean they're necessarily dead, but they can knock them clean out of the sky. As well, you can see here shooting from the ground to the air. This is obviously pretty interesting because in Total War, you know, traditionally you don't have this kind of air combat stuff happening, so it's pretty exciting to see. The developers did note that, you know, if you are able to take control of the skies, that obviously is a very advantageous thing because it means that you can fly around and wreak havoc on ground units. And you can see him here. See, he's like picking up the guys and just ripping them and then tossing them aside. Here are some characters, very much like Warhammer in the actual tabletop game. You obviously have your standard troop units, and then they've put in strong characters like the Shamans, like the main commanders. And these guys are going to have special abilities, and once they're attached to a unit, they're going to make them more powerful. So the characters are a very important part of sort of Warhammer, whether it's 40k or the standard Warhammer. Okay, this is an interesting thing as well. This is called the Luminarch of Heish. This is an Empire sort of artillery piece. It's a field piece, and you can see it fires this magic light energy beam through its refractive lenses, magnifying multiple times along the way, so it fires this highly concentrated beam to take out targets. We saw there also an Empire steam tank. And the Orc Shaman right now summoning up Gork. The foot of Gork to crush their enemies. Anybody that knows about orcs knows that their gods are Gork and Mork, so that's what he is summoning right there. And unfortunately for these Empire troops, we now have the Arachnarok, the Goblin Arachnarok platform coming in. And this thing is, at this point, I'd just be like, I'm out, guys. Screw this, seriously. And did you see that? What he did was actually impale on his claw one of these Empire troops, put him into his jaws, and then spit his shield out. I love the animations that they've put into this. It really, you know, this is the kind of stuff it needs. If they were just kind of slashing and kind of taking out troops, it wouldn't be so exciting. But the fact that they seem to individually interact with troops, they obviously do slash and take out some targets. But again, look, see the giant right here, picks up a guy, rips his head off. these are the kind of things that really make the battle come to life, and this is something that, you know, I've wanted to see with Total War for a long time. Instead of units kind of just coming together and smashing each other to pieces, they actually are getting engaged here. And you can see also the Griffin coming in here. Griffins, which are sort of like, again, half tiger, half eagle. This one right here, you can see his stripes on the back there. Beautiful creatures. So that's it. Total Warhammer is looking amazing. They've obviously got a little way to go in picking up some elements there, but overall it's really, really fantastic right here. Empire Mage right here calling in, I believe, a comet attack. So brings in this magic comet. The game overall, I'm just really excited for. Everything is looking fantastic with it, and this is exactly what Total War needed to do. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop your comments below, and I'll see you next time for some more Total Warhammer.